Hey, welcome to the Freeze Dry Business Channel. Have you been an airhead when it comes to freeze drying airheads? Well, I have too. I'm gonna try the airheads for the first time, and so you're gonna see me set the freeze dryer to what I think is gonna work, as well as arrangement on the tray. I'm also gonna cut some of them, and we're gonna see what airheads do in the freeze dryer, as well as how we can make it work. Let's get started. Hey, welcome to another video on the Freeze Dry Business Channel. My name is David. I run a freeze dry business in Idaho. I've been running my business for several years, and I've learned a lot of different things about freeze drying as a business. Now, a lot of things are different for every different state that you're a part of, but there are a lot of things that remain the same within a freeze dry business. So a lot of my videos are to share those generalities, and some of the specifics I can help you if you comment in my videos or you send me an email in my About section on my YouTube channel. Now, today we're going to be doing airheads, and I haven't done them before, but I wanted to try them and I think they're really fun. I don't like adding a whole lot of new candies to my product lineup within my business because I've already got a lot of candies and it's just a lot to store and to do. But I've been wanting to try this because there's a lot of new ways to do freeze drying candy that I've been seeing, where you're warming the trays, you're also going at a very high temperature for longer periods of time to make certain things work. And I just want to try something new. So what you can expect in this video is I'm going to set up the freeze dryer settings. You're going to see that. You're also going to see me arrange them on the trays. I am going to cut them because if I was to sell the airhead, I kind of like having bite-sized pieces, because when you put them in the bag for sale, they just look like there's more in it. And that's the way we all are within as consumers, is if we see that there's more, we might actually buy more. And that's just for my style of bagging and my style of marketing. I just want to be able to have more bite-sized pieces. So before we get started, let's go ahead and set the freeze dryer. Now, hey, I already did a candy batch. So what you can do on the freeze dryer is you can hit the button that says Start New Candy Batch. That's what I'm going to do. And that basically starts a new candy batch at the same temperature that you had previously, which I did at 150 degrees for a different type of candy, which is the lemon heads. Go ahead and check out that video. I've got all the trays out. We're going to put the airheads on the trays, and then we're going to put them in at 150 degrees. Now, hey, I know a lot of you sometimes have the earlier version of the Harvest Right software, and you don't have the option for candy mode, but you do have the option within that same old software to set the dry temperature. So before the machine starts, you need to go into the custom settings, change the temperature to about 140, maybe even 150 degrees, and then start the machine. Now, to bypass all of the freezing cycle and the vacuum pressure and all that type of thing that you normally would do with a full cycle, with fruit, other types of foods, is you're just going to start the machine, and then once it starts kicking on freezing, you're going to say cancel, and then it's going to bring you to the screen that says, hey, do you want to add more final dry, or do you want to defrost or not defrost? What you're going to choose is add more final dry time. And basically, all you're going to do is kick it into the final dry at that high temperature that you already set. So that's for the people that have the older software. Those who have the new software, you've got candy mode. And really all you're going to do is you're going to press customize before the machine starts. You're going to change that temp to 150, 140 degrees. And you're also going to change the dry time to whatever you want. I have it set at 5 hours right now because I did the lemon heads. So I'm just going to keep it at that, and then I might change it to lower or higher based on what the end result is. All right, so we've got all the different airheads. I bought these in bulk, and it was about $2.78 per pound. Now, I buy a lot of my candy on Amazon, but I also buy at a wholesale store called Winco that's here in Idaho. What I'm going to do with these airheads is I'm going to unwrap them, but I'm also going to use this knife. I don't normally have this small of a knife to cut, but I forgot my larger knife when I started this video. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly unwrap these airheads very quickly, and that is the tedious part about freeze drying. You have to kind of find really quick, fast ways to unwrap candies, because most candies are wrapped in some type of wrapper, and you just kind of have to unwrap it. So there's sometimes just not an easy way to unwrap these. The purposes of this video, I am just going to unwrap just a few of these, and we're going to cut them and put them on one tray. And I'm also going to do whole airheads just to see what the difference is of how they expand. By the way, if you are new to freeze drying or you haven't connected yourself to some of these Facebook forums, there is really a lot that has already been done, and everyone's kind of figured out things. Now, it's not really trade secrets, because sooner or later somebody's going to know how to do Airheads and set the right settings and all that type of stuff. I share a lot of my knowledge because I just couldn't find a lot of video information online when I started my business 3 years ago in 2020, and I just felt like people needed to see what was actually going on in this freeze drying business world. And I wanted to make high quality videos, and I appreciate every single one of you who has subscribed, as well as those who have commented. Now, all right, so I've got these full-size ones. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these in half, and we're just going to see how the halves go. Hopefully you can see that. I'm just cutting each one in half, trying to be as equal as possible. If you're in hot, humid space, make sure you're keeping your candy in a room temperature area or in your house or some type of temperature controlled area, because this candy can get really soft and it's going to make it even more and more impossible to get these candy wrappers off when they're sticking to the wrapper because they're warm. And so that's what my tip would be for you. So as you can see, I'm just putting the halves on the tray. All right, so these were in half, so we're going to keep these halves for the Airheads in this type of space just to see what happens, and we'll put it in the freeze dryer. All right, now let's go ahead and do the Airheads, but let's do them completely whole and see what happens. So I'm just going to unwrap some of these. I'll put it on a time lapse. All right, we've got 15 full-size Airheads, so let's go ahead and put this in the freeze dryer. All right, so the trays are in for the Airheads. Now again, what I set the temperature to was 150 degrees because I just started a new candy batch. It's already in candy mode previously from the lemon heads that I just did. Now I've already done a candy batch like I said, so what we're gonna do is we've already closed the drain valve. The high temperature candy process is on. We're gonna press continue. And what we're gonna do on Airheads, because they're already soft, they're not like the hard candies, like the lemon heads, is we're gonna actually skip the tray warming, and it's just gonna start drying the candy. And we've got the drying time now at 5 hours. Now, this is the evening time, so I'm gonna go ahead and let this run. Let's do 8 hours, and that way I can come back in the morning and see how it does. I normally would probably do this at 3 hours just so I can keep doing candies, but we'll just keep it at the 8 hour and 29 mark. All right, the cycle is complete that we have the Airheads in. Let's go ahead and take a look to see what happens when you freeze dry Airheads. All right, here's the Airheads that we cut in half. Wow, they puffed up a little bit. Just has a little bit of a puff to it. We're gonna see how they taste in a second. This is the ones that we left whole for the Airheads. And this is what happens to Airheads if you put them into third. All right, so let's just look at the size of what we did here. So we had the full size, this is cut in half, and this is in thirds. So really not much of a difference in the halves and the thirds, but definitely on the full size. Now, all of these were the 3 different trays that we did. Those were the thirds, wholes, and halves. So let's go do a taste test. All right, here's the taste test with the full size Airhead. All right, the texture is definitely crunchy. I really like this. The flavor hits kind of almost after the full bite in your mouth. Actually, this is really tasty. I really like this. Now that's the full size, and then this is the half size. All right, nothing really changes on the taste. Wow, lots of sugar. That's why I don't do a whole lot of candies added on to my product line. All right, after freeze drying these Airheads, here's a couple of conclusions that I have. One, you don't need to cut the Airheads. I thought you needed to because you would have more bite-sized pieces, but looking at the full size, it really didn't puff up that much that I could still fit quite a few in a single bag of the 5.5 by 8 size bags that I use. So I don't think you need to really cut these. But if you were to cut these, I think it would create a lot more bite-sized pieces in these squares. You'd probably see in the window bags, you'd probably see a lot more different flavors and colors, which always brings out a good amount of marketing and brand for the product that someone is going to buy because they don't really know what to expect. Now, as far as Airheads go for the cost, that's something you got to figure out. I still would probably stick with my $2 per net ounce or probably stick with my $8 to $9 per bag price for the Airheads. Now, just to recap on the freeze dryer settings, we did the Airheads at 150 degrees and we did not warm the trays. So these performed fine at 150 degrees. I almost think you could go down to 140 and not even have to warm the trays either. Now, we did run it for about 8 hours because it was overnight, but I don't think you need to do that either. I'd probably run the Airheads for about 3 or 4 hours and they'll probably puff up fine. If they don't and you taste test and they're still a little bit chewy, just run them a little bit longer. Hey, thanks for watching another video on the Freeze Dry Business channel. I hope this information was helpful. If you like this video, hit the like button. Hit subscribe if you'd like to see more videos. Hey, make a difference in your community using your freeze dry business. We'll see you next time on the Freeze Dry Business channel. Cheers.